Welcome to the Possibility Principle, a podcast where we explore the big questions facing the global cooperative movement and the bold ideas that just might move us forward. This series isn't just about storytelling, it's about strategy, challenge, and action. In each episode, we sit down with leaders and changemakers from across the cooperative world to ask, what is holding us back? What becomes possible when we all act together? And what will it take to build a stronger future, not just for cooperatives, but for the communities we serve? And today we're starting with one of the biggest questions of all. What if we could create real-world global cooperative collaboration? To explore that, I sat down with Jeroen Douglas, Director General of the International Cooperative Alliance. Jeroen brings a global perspective, a bold new strategic vision, and a deep belief in the power of shared action. I cannot think of a better person to help us open this conversation. Let's dive in. One of my great treasures today is certainly interviewing the leader in the international cooperative movement, Jeroen Douglas. And Jeroen, I think one thing that I've just been so impressed with, a lot of times when people come into a new organization, such as the International Cooperative Alliance, that has such potential, some come in to keep it in place, to manage what's there, but you are truly a visionary and have a vision of where this can go to. And I always say, it's great to have a vision, but you got to be pragmatic. And I think you're one of the wonderful people that I've met in the world that is a pragmatic visionary. You've had a year now under your belt, ICA, which is not a long time, but I'd like to understand what you're seeing, what you're hearing from cooperatives around the world, and your initial view.
You're giving me too much credits. Thank you, Howard. After these very kind words, it's true. It's been quite a roller coaster since I joined. So before I took on this job, I was working in market-based solutions my whole life. I've co-created a fair trade label as a method to give a correction to, let's say, rough markets and build in sustainability through pricing into the supply chain. So my mindset of building, as you say, pragmatic idealism or pragmatic visions is part of my DNA. It has always been. The reason why I moved to ICA is that I was sort of done with working with these corporates worldwide because I was unable to deliver my vision enough with them. Going to the ICA is sort of going back to the womb of my original inspiration.
And let me ask you that certainly in the last year, you've been a busy person, but was there a time in the last year when it sort of said to you that the cooperative movement is made for something greater, a greater time and a greater vision, that sort of now is the time to really take the cooperative movement to another level?
So it was Obama, Howard, who said co-ops are the best kept secret. And I first needed to discover, or let's say to unleash all those secrets. And frankly speaking, you're one of those secrets. We didn't know each other, but even 3 months before I took up the job officially, I met you online in one of our think tank sessions. I felt a spontaneous connectivity with a guy who is looking to market-based solutions within the cooperative movement. It helped me to give me the confidence that the basic ideas I had, I can certainly push them forth. Connecting through AI under the heading of Principle 6, the cooperation among co-ops. With other leaders from the cooperative movement, I also see that we can go a few steps beyond by really building a powerful platform. We call it CM50. To show to the world that we are here a power to stay resilient. I really feel the thriving force from within, which I didn't know when I took the job. I just had the hope I would meet like-minded people, and I did.
That's wonderful. And, you know, I think I couldn't agree with you more. I think it is sort of our time now in the cooperative world to come together and to elevate it. We have the power, we just haven't done it. I think one of the things is to try, how do we tie everybody together? Because, like you say, in Principle 6 is a basic principle. The co-ops work with other co-ops, but I think it's been more of a principle than a reality. And I think if we're going to elevate the cooperative
Yes.
movement, we have to take that principle into action. And it's one of the things that we're trying to build
Yeah.
with the Principle 6 co-op in order to have a digital platform to really elevate all of us. And, I think a deeper collaboration really has to be the strength of where we're going. And why do you think it's been so hard to achieve up to this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have some ideas on it, but before answering you, I just wanted to say I took a deeper dive in the International Cooperative Alliance, and our organization has its 130th anniversary this year. So I went back to 1895 when the ICA was founded in London, and there were four reasons why the ICA was created. So the first reason is we need to be united despite our diversity. The second reason is we need like one space to find information and do education. The third reason is we need a custodian that holds, let's say, the principles and the values, which is now our statement of cooperative identity. But the fourth reason why the ICA was created is to foster trade amongst co-ops or cooperation among co-ops. So I think ICA has been doing pretty well on the first three, can always be better. But for some reason, the fourth reason, the fourth reason why the ICA was created has never, as you say, has never become a reality. It's just a theoretical idea. And the main reason, I believe, is lack of the right technological tools around on the one hand, and also many co-ops being stuck in immediate survival modus, not having the mindset or the headspace to think that by collaborating in a smart way, it will create a much better business case on the other hand. So it's the urgency and also the technology that was missing. And as you rightly say, I think we are now on a critical point
Yes,
for
well, I
change.
think it's one of the things, and as you talked about Principle 6, we're founding Principle 6 co-op really to give a digital platform to leverage the ability and scale of co-ops around the world. It's really the first co-op of co-ops owned by co-ops to leverage AI, to leverage data, and to leverage benchmarking in a way that was not possible maybe years ago. So we're very excited about what that could do. Obviously, there's a lot of turmoil today, and yet co-ops bring the one ability to bring equality, opportunity, diversity in a way that's healthy, entrepreneurship, but in a way that thinks about people first. As you travel around, do you see that people understand what the co-op movement power is, or how do we convey that in a greater way to the world?
So insufficiently, we need good, better PR and better interconnectivity. Ultimately, co-op is not only about business; it's about
Yeah,
building
no, I think,
communities.
Ron, I couldn't agree with you more. I think at the heart of co-ops is their community. It's local communities. It's community within the people that belong to the co-op. And I think our world is about
Exactly.
building more connections and closer connections that have trust in it. And I think one of the
Yeah.
wonderful things that I see in the co-op world is that co-ops have a higher level of trust than any organization in the world. And I think there's a reason because the people own it and everybody's in it together. How would you see collaboration coming together in a greater way, and how can ICA facilitate that?
So that question is a nice bridge to the new strategy that we have developed. So the new strategy is about practicing, promoting, and protecting the co-ops into the future. That's making it future-proof. So the title is already quite compelling. We want to practice to show through evidence that it is indeed not a theoretical story, but it delivers. We want to promote it better. We have tools, we have communication instruments. P6 can, at the end, also not only be a knowledge initiative, but also a communication initiative and others. And we also need to protect it through, intruders of organizations that claim to be sort of co-op. So the title is there, but if we take a deeper dive into the strategy, it is really about a future proof proposition. And what do I mean with that? We want to work with people that work with data, so very much data driven, that are delivering advocacy, but also access to finance in a future-proof setup. And so those 5 blocks are ultimately where we need to make a rather monumental shift towards, a force for good that also can lead and must sort of set the tone of where the new global economy needs to go to.
This has been an exciting year because it's the United Nations designation of International Year of the Cooperative. And I'm sure the ICA has been
Yes.
busy coordinating events with ICA and United Nations. And maybe you can just enlighten us a little bit about what's happening with that.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could go for a very long story, but let me just say one thing. Why I'm excited with this International Year of Co-ops is it fits into what we call 2025 tipping point year. What do I mean with that? I mean, all the studies you read from the UN, from think tanks, etc., indicate clearly that 2025 is a tipping point when it comes to the energy change, the climate change, the war and peace change, but also the global economy change. There's a certain economist, well known, Mr. Kondratiev, show a graph. You can see it is an interesting graph. Mr. Kondratiev, he studies super cycles, economic super cycles. And for some strange reason, there seems to be like a mathematical consistency that those cycles change every 40 years, Howard. So we're about on the brink of that super cycle paradigm shift. And the last one was with the fall of the Berlin Wall. The one previous was with the end of the Second World War. And the one before that was with the end of the Golden Era. And every block comes with a new paradigm, a new, I would say, social contract between government, economy, investors, and civil society. So I'm convinced that the current neoliberal capitalist model, as we know it, is moving towards an end game and needs, through shocks, to think about itself, what is the future way forward? I don't say that co-ops are the only ones who take that whole space, but we are certainly well positioned to ensure that co-ops and mutuals are the organizations of the future. So this paradigm shift, this Kondratiev wave, leads us into a new time frame.
Well, I do totally believe you're right with that. Our worlds are in cycles, and we are coming to an end of a cycle. I think capitalism has stopped working for everyone. It's working for the elite, and I think the advantage of cooperatives are they work for everyone. I always say that cooperatives are capitalism with a conscience. That they put people first, not profit first, but they're profit minded. I think the one thing a lot of individuals in the outside world don't know, and I say the outside world, is that cooperatives operate as a business and have to have a good bottom line. It's just that they put people first. It's not that cooperatives are not in the nonprofit world. We operate as real businesses.
I mean, I agree, cooperatives have a different position in the world of capital. It's about profit sharing. We see that this, I almost call it circus capitalism, whereby crazy billionaires want into politics and do crazy things, and this is not only in the US, this is happening everywhere, is our signs of the end of this model. The problem, however, is that the model has created a lot of hope, false hope, but at least it has given the mindset of young people. They think, if I study hard, I will be a winner. This dream of, you start simple and you end up as a billionaire, the American dream. We all know this is just for a handful. Right. You need 10 million losers to create one winner. And we need to break this mindset of young people who believe that the rat race will produce him or her to be this 1 out of 10 million winners. And we need to create a whole new class of leaders.
Yes. No. Look, I think people involved. I always think there are two types of individuals involved in co-ops. When I see in my life, people that are very bright and people that care about people. And I think that's what separates, I think, co-op leaders from other leaders. Co-op leaders are obviously very talented, but they care about people first. They have a heart. And it's
Yeah.
not just, like I said, I think you're right. It's not just about becoming the richest man in the block. It's about doing well, but caring about everybody in the block. And I think that's what cooperatives do. I think it's one of the things, frankly, that young people in our world today, I say young, going into the generations under 35 years old, look to that as an advantage, really. And I think they're tired, frankly, of large capitalism and the way it's working, of taking advantage of people. And as you said, there might be 8 billionaires in the world, but there are millions of others, leadership, that have the ability to do great things that aren't permitted to. I think the cooperative movement give young people an opportunity to make great social change while still operating in an economic, common sense way. If young generation, when they learn about cooperatives, I think that's what's fascinating. Young generation loves cooperatives. They love the principles. They love the way it works. I think the challenge is not that do they love it, that they're not exposed to it early enough and understand it well enough. I think when young people understand it and exposed to it, they are passionate about cooperatives.
So, Howard, I need to tell you that a bit more on CM50. You know, but it's for the audience. So, Cooperatives and Mutuals 50 was an idea that emerged, I would say, in the corridors of our Global Cooperative Conference in India, to build a leadership circle and ensure that the top 50 of co-ops and there the CEOs from come together and ensure that this group of people is making a platform with a statement to the world. It's heading towards this World Social Summit. The official name, the Second World Summit for Social Development, Doha, Qatar. And that will, in my point, be a breaking moment or a changing moment whereby co-ops can position themselves better than they have ever done before. And it allows us also to work on a commitment agenda. It came very clear the three areas where we want to work on is Principle 6, but also Principle 5, education, because the leaders of the co-ops are aware of the need to create a new class of purposeful leaders, right? So purposeful leader journey, I hope to build with CM50, whereby the current leaders can operate as, tutors, as a moral compass to this next generation. So that's why I'm hopeful that the CM50, as one of the most tangible outcomes that will stay after the international year, can build these purposeful leadership journeys together with post-conflict rebuild, those 3 points, and access to finance, which was added in Manchester. And then we have 4 formidable work plans. So I think the future looks bright with CM50.
What I see is, I agree with you that I think that the leaders in the co-op movement realize that this is a very special time to really elevate the movement. And to do it, we can't do it alone. We have to do it together. And the strength of real thought leaders coming together for the benefit of everybody is so important.
But let's face it, co-ops also have their challenges. I think one of the challenges you're working on is to ensure that there is much more knowledge exchange. We're not good in building a smart digital and knowledge acumen, and that's why Principle 6 is so important. Another challenge, I think, is that most of the co-ops is actually the Achilles heel, are underfinanced and have difficulties for that reason to grow, to invest, to innovate. And so there's not many co-ops who have an R&D center, because that, and if you want to innovate and get patents on your products in order to have a cutting edge advantage in the market space, that needs upfront investment capital, and co-ops are not good at that. So we need to find a way, maybe through P6, how we can jointly build also research and development.
I couldn't agree with you more. Look at we we know we operate well for the caring of people and our successful businesses. But in a world today where technology is driving so much, we need to be able to use our scale as a friend to us, not as a barrier. And I think one of the few ways we can do that is
Exactly.
taking Principle6.coop and looking to see how do we get not only the brightest minds, but the economics together in a way that leverages us to be compatible with other international organizations. And it's a perfect time for us to really execute Principle 6 philosophically. One of the things we've talked about is sort of the global aspect of the power of cooperatives, but it really comes down to the local. I know there are almost 3 million local cooperatives, and the work that you're working on and the work hopefully Principle6.coop does, we're really concerned about local. And how do you see that playing out in the local market?
So if we play it smartly and we connect smart the dots, when it comes to advocacy, what we now are working on is to ensure that tax preferences that are there for co-ops in through good legislation is being copy pasted and outrolled to many other jurisdictions. This will give an immediate positive impact to every co-op on the ground, because you don't need to have the same profit taxation as corporates need to have, because we can show that as co-ops that we reinvest the profits back into the company. So a revenue taxation model for co-ops, as it's been developed in Brazil, as it's been developed in Ecuador, as it's been developed in other countries, is very helpful. And through smart interconnection, we hope through our advocacy part, one of the 5 areas to work on, we can use that. That's just one example. Another example, if we work well with smart data, empowered by AI, and have benchmarking opportunities, it gives you as an individual co-op the power to operate smarter in the market space. You know better what your strengths are. You know better how you need to develop and to connect, create new business models. But also it will give you, if you have your data well in order, better access to finance. So individual co-ops, through smart data and control over your own data stream, will have much better understanding what is necessary to get access to finance, for instance. So those concrete tools in the field of taxation, in the field of market access, in the field of financial access, those things will trickle down if we do a smart job.
No, I think that's absolutely dead on. And I think one of the things we're trying to do with Principle6.coop is we're trying to bring scale to every co-op in the world that they couldn't get in their own. So I think the timing, because of AI, everybody's looking at AI and saying, what can it do for me? Or how complex is it? Or how do I use it? Every co-op in the world does not have to figure this out on their own. I think part of what we're trying to do is have best practices, but also to share the ability of how to use those skill sets in AI by sector of all cooperatives in the world, so they can leverage it and don't look at everybody that's not going to have the best technology person. They don't need to. They just need to be part of the co-op that has the best technology solution. And I think that's what we hope to really deliver is the technology, best practices, collaboration, and benchmarking in a way that maybe we could not do 10 years ago, but we can now. And so I think the work that Principle 6 is doing, the work that ICA is doing with CM50 and all the other pieces you're working on is so critical today to really deliver for individual co-op. So as we look, obviously, everything we ever read or turn on our news, the challenges in the world just seem to be getting greater and greater everywhere. And yet we talked about some solutions. Are you optimistic of where we see the future?
For co-ops, yes. For co-ops, yes. Not necessarily for other aspects. For co-ops, yes. Because with the technology that we get from the global treasury trove, whereby we can set up trade among co-ops and really strengthen the business between co-ops. I mean, the ecosystem is so large. If we also manage to lift, and I'm confident we are, to build our own exchange, financial exchange platform as a co-op with Co-op Exchange, and we empower it with Principle 6 data and benchmarking, I'm convinced co-ops have the better tools than they ever had before to build a resilient business, a resilient community, and ultimately a resilient cooperation among co-ops. So I'm very optimistic that the time that comes to us now is the cooperative time.
Yeah, first of all, I cannot thank you and tell you how much appreciative I am for you sharing your knowledge, your time, your wisdom, and your passion for the cooperative movement. It's really been wonderful sharing the time with you. You look at and I think in my own personal note that I am more optimistic than I've ever been in my life because I see more opportunity for cooperatives now than ever. The world is challenged, but boy, I think it is an opportunity for us to really show the world what we can do. And I think there's the platform, there's the desire, and there's the emotional need. And we have one thing that nobody else has, which is incredible trust. And you can have a lot of other things in the world, but if you don't have trust, and I think what the cooperative movement brings to the world is goodness and trust all packaged in one, an opportunity. So I want to thank everybody for joining us with us today.
The truth is, no single cooperative can solve the challenges we face today. But together, we have the potential to lead real change. As you heard from the conversation with Jeroen, the infrastructure is beginning to take shape. The strategy is in place, and the energy is real. The question now is, what is your role in this? So here's what I'd like to ask you. What's one challenge your co-op is facing right now that you think we could solve together as a community? Because we are stronger together. Drop your answer in the comments, or better yet, bring it to the principle6.coop, where co-ops from around the world are beginning to connect and collaborate. Because this isn't just a podcast, it's a call to connect, to share, and to build the future together.